Hey, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. If you're a subscriber, I appreciate it. I've got yet another project going on, and that is I recently got into tubers because I am working on self-sufficiency and a food forest, and I realized I really don't have a lot of tubers, meaning potatoes, Jerusalem artichokes, things like that. So like I usually do, I've gotten hot and heavy into the potato department. Now I had some potatoes on the property, but I started using this compost cage. You can tell it's like 8 feet tall. And I use this for compost, but a lot of people don't know it's really easy to grow potatoes and really efficient when you use a tower method like this. Potatoes, because of course it is a tuber, they have they don't want to be waterlogged. So you have to mix sand into the soil and other things that allows the soil to drain really well. So this method works really well. And what I usually do is I would do a planting of the actual potato seeds or potato tubers towards the edge and put a layer of soil on it, and then just keep piling, and eventually the potatoes will pop out the sides and just be growing in this giant tower as it grows. The problem is I didn't realize I didn't put wire on the very bottom of it and protect it last season, and so the goddamn gophers came from underground and had a really lovely feast of my organic potatoes. And the cool thing is with potatoes, you can literally use the skins. You can use potatoes that have started to grow. You can use the little nubs on the sides to start potatoes. So if you have a big budget, you can literally so many recycled parts of the potato to get them to grow. They're a really powerful, great plant. That being said, I have now secured the wire underneath and around the edges, so the gophers hopefully are not going to climb into this and steal the potatoes I have going in here. You can see one little tiny one poking up. Let me try to... Now this variety that I have in here is supposed to be this delicious French finger lime tomato. Not finger lime, finger tomato. And it has a real nutty flavor. It's supposed to be fantastic. So I bought some off of Etsy. I have a lot of good luck on Etsy. I like the small growers. The second thing we have going on here are these buckets. Now again, when you plant your potatoes, you're not going to plant your potatoes, you're not going to fill the soil up to the top of the big bucket. You're going to start with just 4 to 6 inches of soil on the bottom, because they're going to grow really quickly. And then what you're going to do as they start to grow, you can see these, we've probably got about 3 inches on them. As they get to 4 to 6 inches, you're going to continue to fill the soil in underneath them. And what's going to happen is they're going to continue to grow upward, and where you fill the soil in as they grow all along the stem of this potato plant is going to grow yearling to potatoes. And that's how you get a large crop of potatoes versus putting them in shallow space. An old method, and I don't know how safe this is, but back in the day in Ohio, we would take tires, empty tires, and we would put the first layer down and fill it with sandy soil, put our potatoes, and then really quickly the plants would grow up past the tire. You fill in the tire, you put another tire on top, fill that in, another tire, and that stack of tires could get 6 to 10 feet tall by November. And then at the end of the season, you knock the stack of tires over and you have this huge crop of potatoes. Very effective way of using recycling and using, garbage to grow with. But the thing is, I'm not sure if any bad chemicals are leached in from the tires into the soil. But we were kids. It was Ohio. What are you going to do? The other thing I have going on over here is... my spouse scored these potato bags or growing bags specifically for potatoes from Temu. I think they're kind of silly. These felt bags are amazing though. If you take care of them, they will last for years. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up on that. But it has a little side pocket here with Velcro, and you can literally tear this open to get to the potatoes underneath. How effective that actually is, I don't know. It's a nice idea in theory, but as you see, my little French potatoes are going crazy, and I've been piling soil in here now for about 2 weeks. This one definitely needs more soil around it. It's really happy. Another thing you can do with potatoes that people don't know is they take cuttings really easily. So at any time, you could snap this, let them get about 6 to 8 inches long. You can snap it off, giving it just enough leaves, you know, that it can still photosynthesize, and snap it off at the nub and put that in the soil at least 1.5 to 2 inches, and within weeks you will have a new potato plant. They're very strong. They're really strong plants. So I've got my growing tower, I've got growing buckets, I've got growing bags, and now I'm going to show you another thing that I have going on. My tenant is from Colombia, and she was going on and on about how delicious these little yellow potatoes are in Colombia. And I was like, well, get me some and I'll grow them. But the thing is, you cannot get them in the US. It's impossible. The only way that you can get them in the US is when they've been completely frozen and basically they're no longer alive. So you couldn't take a potato and get it growing from a start, from an actual potato. So I looked online, I looked everywhere, anything similar to like a South American potato, and couldn't find anything. So she was right. It was like a dead end. But then, never give up, never give in. That's my motto. I found the seed grower on eBay, and he carries rare cultivars of potatoes from all over the world. I believe originally potatoes were started or cultivated in the Andes Mountains in South America. And so I was able to find these specific wild and old cultivars of potatoes. Now, the trick was with these is that, well, one, I kind of focused on some disease-resistant ones, as you see here, and they came as seeds, and I've never grown potatoes from seeds before. I always start with the skins, or I start with the, you know, the actual potatoes to grow from. So I was really excited to get these rare cultivars. And I will find, you can see the name of the company is right here. I think he's a real small operation, but he got the seeds to me relatively quickly. You can see the website right there. His selection of potatoes and other things is quite amazing. And I highly recommend, if you're into rare things and experimenting, and you want some varieties of potatoes that are different from what you can get here in the US, this is a really good way to go. So this is the way I do seeds. It's really, I think, quite ingenious. This is a croissant container or a pastry container from Costco. And after we ate all the croissants, what I do is I sterilize the container, usually using either boiling water. No, well, you have to be careful with boiling water because it's in plastic, but white vinegar is pretty effective. And then I do a very, very, very thin layer of soil in the bottom of it, and then put my seeds. And then this creates a really good protected, somewhat clean environment that can't be contaminated. And then I will mix a combination of water and hydrogen peroxide, which also helps to keep the mold and bacteria levels down in the soil. And the great thing about this is you don't have to come out and water it every day. You don't run the risk of it drying to the point that the delicate seedlings could go into be shocked or die. And then you can use permanent marker and literally write right onto your plastic container whatever you're growing with a line with your rows of whatever seeds you're doing, or you could use tape. But look, it's happening already. Can you see them? How exciting is that? So I have 3 South American, specifically 2 Colombian and another cultivar of potato that I'm sure no one else is going to have to add to my self-sustaining food farm inventory. So I'm really excited about that. Okay, I will try to find his website and put the link for these rare potato seeds in the description box. And you have to remember, of course, when you're dealing with really small seeds, you don't want a lot of depth on your soil. You don't need depth in your soil. We're talking like a 1/2 inch, maybe to 1 inch. You want to compact that soil. You want to pre-moisten it. So let's say this is a seed mix soil is essential too. This is a seed mix soil, so it has a lot of sphagnum, peat moss, and it has a lot of vermiculite. And so you want to moisten it to the point that it clumps like this, but you don't want it to be soaking wet. And once you get this good consistency, like I said, I mix hydrogen peroxide into it, and then I will compress that into the bottom of my container. You can tell that right now, even with the seeds coming up and I added soil to this, it's only halfway. So when I started, it was only, maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch, and you compress that. You want to make sure that it's, not smashed, but firm, so there's no air pockets. Then you're going to do your seeds. Then you're going to lightly sprinkle just a really, really thin layer of soil to barely cover the seeds. Then you're going to compress that, and then you're gently going to take a spray bottle just to put enough moisture that those seeds aren't, there's no air pockets in there and all the seeds are making contact. Once you do that, you're good to go. You mark, you've already marked your rows. You go ahead and close the container and you wait. And these seeds, I have to say, his seeds were fantastic. They germinated, I want to say 4 to 5 days, but I did have ideal heat. I had a really good climate going on. And then what you can do, the brilliant thing about not putting too much soil in your initial incubator is as the seeds come up, you can add soil around the little seedlings. And what that does is it's going to strengthen the seedlings and buy you more time before you have to transplant them if you're busy. See how this one here, you can kind of see its stem. You just put some soil, keep building up a little soil around it, and then they will get stronger and stronger, and their stems will get stronger. The roots will grow out of their stems. And then when they're, this tall, you have really strong seedlings to transplant instead of these little tiny fragile babies. The one thing you want to be careful of is if you do this method, you don't want to put this in the sun, because as you can see, this will act as a magnifying glass and your seedlings will fry. These are some little babies that I transplanted last night into cell packs, and they are very happy. Not one died, no one took shock. And that, my friends, this is going to be my awesome addition to the property in regards to my own food security and also having something cool that nobody else has. All right. Thank you for coming to my channel. If you like my quick money saving tips, experiments, rants, raves, art, and occasional magic, please subscribe. It helps, and share. And I will see you soon. Bye.